in the number 86, so already making some solid progress. And there at the moment is the number 27, Barrington Darcy. That is pretty much a commentator's curse if ever I've seen it. Ben Greencock straight into the barrier. I don't believe in the commentator's curse. Big slide there in the background from Thompson, trying to find the grip going down into Brooklands. This is what we were saying about. There goes the big slide from Watt. Not been too scared of the throttle pedal. Might have needed to be, as the spin puts them backwards. Luffield are now in a very dangerous and precarious position. Certainly is much less obvious as to where that standing water is. So yeah, they'll have to be a little bit nervy of it. Oh, here comes a bit of a spin though, as Barrington Darcy out wide, coming through the final corner really at Luffield, and trying to be forced down the order by Perry Darling in the number 81 car, and that is indeed Perry Darling is through. A bit of a spin there as well. That was certainly assisted. Matthew Shear's been sent round there, doing battle, and they'll head their way out through Luffield and back out onto the start to finish straight. As you can see there, Mark McAleer, as he tries to win. Oh, there is a bit of an instant, and there is a rear issue on the 26 there. That has been absolutely clobbered. That's David Burke, then up into 12th position at the moment. So marching through this field, as you can see as well, Mike Thompson as well up to 10th, and that is a big hit into the barrier for Craig Horvath. There is quite a lot of damage on the rear left of that. Must have got onto the best opportunity to make that spot up, and as they were heading down into Cascades, the opportunity was there, and once again out into the barrier. It's the 71 now who's gone off and into the barrier at the first turn, as we saw earlier. Fairly large gaps between them though, so this swift progress coming in from the likes of Bream and Thompson has been much easier. There goes a spin then for Levi, who's gone out wide through this, what is effectively the second corner of the circuit at Cascade. 7 seconds to Barrington Darcy. Ahead of that is 5 seconds as there's another spin. Is it going to keep out the barrier? Just about there for Hafner. That was a big old slide. Think about it, not really worry about it. And because it's obviously from our angle, we know there's nothing serious there. As there goes Faye Noble Evans off the road for a bit of a spin. Noble Evans is round, and we'll flick it back round and send it back on its way. The rear end in this category. There is a look at your race leader. There's a look at second spot, and there's a big spin as well for the 78. Your race leader, Forbert, has a big moment coming down then into Druids and finds his way into the gravel trap, and that car will be beached with 7 minutes and 30 seconds left. As we take a look here, it is Darren Labbott hanging on from pole position, as there is a spin there as they head their way into the island bend. That is the number 16 of Kevin Harrison that has gone for a big slide as they work their way
towards Copse Corner, and it's going to be Jake McAleer that leads the way from Mark McAleer in second place. A great start from Pete Morris. He was 6th on the grid and has contact further back, I'm afraid, as David Burke gets clattered into by Richard Baston, who gets thrown into the air briefly. He's pointing in the wrong direction with damage to his car. Fingers crossed he'll be able to continue, but not quite sure what happened there. David Burke was just really slow away after a solid qualifying, and then we've also got one off and into the gravel trap, and that's Charlie Dye, I'm afraid, the number 96 car that's gone off up at Copse Corner. Burke, was he still there? Just getting a quick replay. Yeah, Darren Burke I think got a bit of a wiggle on and went 3 wide and backed out of it, and Richard Baston understandably was expecting cars to go through their full racing speed but couldn't because of David Burke getting off the throttle to save compromising it. Then there was a separate spin, which would have been into the gravel trap for Tim Harrington. 4-car of Tim Harrington, I'm not entirely sure, but there you can see the rear suspension damage to Richard Baston's car. He's out of the car, as are all the other drivers, and absolutely fine, but with broken right rear suspension, that is going to need lifting out of harm's way, I'm afraid. Winning the old Porsche 924 championship back in the 1990s. That's how long Steve's been racing cars. There's the number 10 car. That's the brand new car in the hands of Julian Morris, and there's another off, and that's into the pit wall, I'm afraid, and that's Pete Evans, who has caused significant damage to the tail end of his car, then rolls the car backwards from the pit wall right the way across in front of the rest of the pack. There'll be coolant, there'll be oil everywhere, into the gravel trap at Club. That's going to mean localised yellow. See, just loses the tail end of the car, and from there's no coming back from it, and a hefty impact into the barriers with the tail end of the car. And of course, in a 996, that's the business end of the car. That's where the engine sits. Comes home in second position, and it should be Pete Morris who's there in third. We've had a spin quite late on, and that will be for Andrew Porter in the Class 2 car, but I think his spin is largely because of that oil that's been put down there at Village and the Loop, which has just caught a few people out. So it's Chris Dyer actually that came through to finish in third in the end. He did get back past Pete Morris, and we've got more cars off, and that's Simon Dye that's had the off this time. And I think they're all just getting caught out on the oil down there. Yes, we can see Julian Dye, I think that was recovering as well. And we've got somebody else that's now off as well. And I think that was probably, we only caught a glimpse of it, Martin Mason's car, number 68, that went off. But they're all getting caught out on that oil down there at Village and the Loop. But we've got one in the gravel trap, I'm afraid. And that is certainly going to be going no further. And that car, I'm afraid, even with the assistance of the marshals, Mike Thompson is not going to get out of harm's way. And that was all the Boxsters that got tangled up together, and he's not the only one that got tangled up in that one. For the leader of Boxsters, we'll pick up on in a moment. Now this is a fight going on between Graham Hurd, and there's a little bit of contact there between himself and Martin Mason. Martin Mason's wing mirror flapping around. They both largely get away with that and squeeze their way through and past the number 42 at the same time. There's more cars just on the grass onto the top of Hollywood, and that was Max Watt, who was trying to make some progress after what was not a poor start from him, but he just got a little bit too much wheel spin, and he's dropped down into fourth position, the pole sitter. Got one car sideways through the middle of the pack and should be able to rejoin, and that is Matthew Shears, I'm afraid, that's had the spin. And he'll be looking to try and see if he can maintain that position. We've got another spin down at the Melbourne Hairpin, and that's Martin Mason, the wheel of the Coca-Cola liveried car that's had the spin. He is looking to maintain a championship lead, and he now manages to squeeze his way through and up into second place. So further contact down at the old hairpin and further spins, I'm afraid. Eric Bridges having to anchor up to avoid the spinning rint car of David Hussey ahead. Together on his own now is Ben Grucock in third position. Fourth place is Brendan Hafner, and fifth place might be Mike Thompson as he dives up the inside of the number 51 car of Stuart Warner, tips him into a spin, and Stuart Warner facing backwards on the exit, I'm afraid. And now Max Watt will be tasked with doing exactly the same. The lead advantage last time through came down by 0.8 of a second. So Max Watt trying hard, and then makes a little bit of contact with David Hussey down through the Craner curves. The number 64 car goes for a spin. There's more damage to the front end of the car of Max Watt, and I'm afraid into the gravel trap has gone David Hussey there. 2 seconds now, so that is not good enough to overcome the 10-second penalty. At the moment, on corrected times, he would still drop to 6th position, and he makes a big mistake coming down through the Craner curves, pushing too hard, loses the tail end of the number 23 car, and that is not at all what he wanted. He was trying to open up a gap, and now he has dropped down to 6th on the road. Make that set to pick out the traction, and Simon Clark here might go for the lead of the race up the inside at Coppis. Can he squeeze his way through? Yes, he can. Simon Clark picks up the lead of the race. There's a spin in the background, and I'm afraid that is going to be Julian Dye that is spun coming out of McLean's corner. The car slides downhill on the wet grass, makes light contact with the barriers, and he will be able to continue in the race. Inspired either the setup on the car or the tyre choice or the driving or a combination of all three, because you can see just how difficult it is for everybody else. There's a spin, you can see it wiggling around under braking, a spin and into the gravel trap, but it's only the front wheel, so that might just work for Andrew Porter, who hooks reverse gear. Now we've got traffic to deal with as well for Mark McAleer, who is trying to weave his way through and past Timothy Harrington's car. That's one of the cars that started from the pit lane. So if there wasn't enough going on, and then there's a spin, and in fact, by the look of things, right, Chris Dyer clobbers into the side of Mark McAleer. There's a spin for Julian Morris in sympathy as he tried to react with what was happening in front of him for Mark McAleer. Dark blue car over to the far right-hand side of your screen might just have his nose ahead here as they head up towards the braking area for Ritchie's for the first time. It's Perry Darling that leads the way, and it's going to be Charlie Dye, is it not, that's through into second place, but Charlie's all over the grass and spins towards the edge of the cornfield, sends the crows scattering as he rotates the car round through 360 degrees, and I'm afraid his car is stricken now on the outside of Ritchie's corner. There's also a spin further down through the pack, and that will be a car then of Stuart Warner. And again, as they head in towards the braking area for the Wilson hairpin, as long as Perry Darling hits his marks, it's going to make it impossible for Scott Evans to try and wiggle his way through, and it will be impossible for him to wiggle his way through while he gets on the throttle too early and has a big spin. He's going to get the car pointing back in the right direction. He's going to get his way back onto the circuit. Right there as yet, so black car of Tony Jones still hanging on to it. It's Ben Grucock going to try something into the braking area for Agostini. He's trying to prise the door open. There's a little bit of a rub between the pair of them as they just bounce off each other, and Ben Grucock actually holds his hand out of the window, I think, to apologise for that one to Tony Jones. What he needs to hope for is Matthew Shears and Tony Levy continue to squabble. Well, they are doing at the moment still Matthew Shears in the number 3 car that hangs on to 8th position, and then there's a big spin for Tony Levy, who got on the gas too quickly coming out of Agostini. Up towards the braking area for Oggies, you can see still working terribly hard is Ed Hayes. Now the car was sort of bouncing around then. He's made a mistake. I did wonder if he was bouncing around on the approach in towards Oggies. He has, and he's, I think, made light contact almost with the barriers there, so it's not going to be a debut win in 2025 for Ed Hayes. He's having to scrabble his way back onto circuit. You can hear the squeal of the locked brakes. Now for poor old Ed Hayes, that has dropped him down through the order. You can see the damage to the front left-hand corner as well. Andrew Porter would drop to second on 374, and Shiraz Khan would be on 370. There'd still only be 8 points separating the top 3 at the end of the championship season. Contact there, and that, I'm afraid, is 2 cars coming together. Barrington Darcy gets into the side of Darren Lebet. That's unfortunate for those 2, but that is a big help to Andrew Porter, who was right behind those 2 cars and has now picked up 2 more places as he had to weave his way past the incident. So those 2 cars coming together. A rather disappointed look from Darren Lebet, who strolls away from his stricken car, raises his hands in frustration. And Barrington Darcy, I think, will park the car up as well, because there's surely going to be a big chunk of damage to his car, I'm afraid.